All right, let's start. Thank you everybody for being here. Adrian, Sarah, Blake, Savannah, Carmen. Thank you, appreciate this. This is a small presentation for all of us, friends and acquaintances. What I want to talk about is the diversity of personalities. Living together, a bunch of young people, all trying to get their legs up. You know, it's naturally going to present some difficulties, and often that's going to be the conflict of different personalities. But what I want to impress upon you today is that diversity is a strength, and there are strategies to manage the conflict of personalities. Next slide. The Briggs-Myers Personality Type Indicator is a personality test that's often utilized in school, vocational, and business environments. It's the most widely used test. It's based off of the writings of Carl Jung. Next slide. There are 4 different dichotomies: attitudes, decisions, learning, and lifestyles. Next slide. Within these are 2 different, these are the dichotomies, or the dualities. It kind of assumes that you are in one or the other. You are a thinking decider, you are an introverted, attitudinally introverted. Next slide. And we'll walk through these quite quickly. Introverts. They like to work in quiet spaces, lower energy. Next. Extroverts, quite the opposite. They get more energy off of crowds and of people. Next slide. Sensic is a fact, details, practical, realistic, kind of type A, as they maybe say. Next slide. Intuitive, though, is a more abstract, free associational. Next slide. Feeling. Values, relationships, and connections. I think we all have a little bit of that in us. Next slide. Thinking would be considered the opposite of the feeling. And this is a decision-oriented, how you make your decisions. Logic and reason valued high. Next slide. Judging. Organization and order, like to be in control, unpredictability and chaos are disliked. Next slide. And finally, perceiving, which is actually the opposite of judging, more of a flexible, preferring not to plan, often winging it. And now, let's get into some scenarios. It's Monday morning. Everyone's got a case of the Mondays. Yogurt goes missing in the fridge. No one's talking about it. There's silence. You know someone did it. Perhaps the culprit is, next slide, an introvert. Maybe they are averse to conflict. They do not like to speak in open spaces about it. They are thinking through what they did before they come to you. You might be impatient with that. Perhaps it was your yogurt. And you are, next slide, the sensing type. You're focusing on the facts, the events, the details. You're trying to connect the patterns. You don't have the yogurt. You're going to be hungry because you don't have a lunch. Hasn't this happened before? Now, knowing what we know about these personality types, perhaps we can think of something to mediate this conflict. Perhaps the introvert speaks to the previous times they stole the yogurt, assuaging the sensing type's focus on the past and patterns. Perhaps this conflict is resolved in the privacy of just the 2 of them and not in the greater home. Second scenario. Let's say we're having a big dinner bash. Adrian's coming over. He's going to make his mama's famous gnocchi recipe. But I want to make some bread for it. Bread takes many hours to do. Adrian's a bit of an extroverted, intuitive feeler. He's just going to feel out this recipe. He's not following anything. He's just going to wing it. There's going to be dishes scattered across. It's going to be a messy kitchen. I'm more of an introverted thinking judger. I like my order. I don't like a lot of dishes. How might we resolve this? Well, I might get into the kitchen hours before while Adrian's working and get all my bread and everything out of the way. I might do something a little special for Adrian since he's a feeler and he values connection like that. Adrian might show his appreciation by doing my dishes. But as I said before, we're playing to each other's strengths. What's important is that we're having a communication and that we're avoiding the conflict with that communication. And we're making an awesome dinner. These are strategies to get you results. They're not fantasies. These are styles. And these types of personalities have their strengths and their challenges, no matter what type you are. Understanding yours is going to get you onto a pathway to success. And understanding our personality types is going to help us communicate, collaborate, and create great results. And get us on our pathway to house success. You can stop filming.